We're gonna wait just 1 minute more. I believe we have another member of the media that is trying to be part of this press conference. So bear with us for 1 more minute, maybe 2. We're gonna wait just 1 minute more.
That will be blessed with a few days of good weather, huh?
folks. Welcome. We're going to get started. It's Thursday, April 16th, and this is the Burlington, Vermont COVID-19 update. Thank you for tuning in. Where I'd like to start today is with an update on the Burlington Community Mask Initiative. This is something we've talked about a couple times before, but it's hit a milestone today, so we wanted to report out on that. This is an initiative that began close to a month ago when there was basically some internal thinking. Our analytics team started to focus on community masking, on masks as an important strategy for slowing the transmission of the virus. This was weeks before the CDC came out with guidance on this, and I really am thankful to the team for starting the ball moving on this. The city went out and purchased material, and we have been working with a whole host of community partners, both volunteers and some significant companies, to create as many masks as possible, as quickly as possible. And one difference between these masks and some of the other masks that are out there is that they are high quality. These are high quality masks, and this is one of them. This is one of the prototypes. They in the testing that's been done so far are performing very well and better than some of the other cloth masks out there. What cloth masks do, of course, is the biggest thing they do is they help contain the transmission of the virus if you are sick. And many people who we know now who test positive don't even know they were sick. They're asymptomatic. Maybe as many as 50% of people who get the virus don't know it. Having a mask on, basically everybody, slows a lot the transmission of the virus if you are someone that is sick. It also, there can be some value in protective quality to the person wearing the mask as well. Although the biggest, it's always worth noting, the biggest thing is just by all of us doing it, we make sure people who don't know their carriers have the masks on and slow the transmission of the virus. So we announced a couple weeks ago that we were trying to create enough of these masks for every essential worker in Burlington to have one. And as of the end of the day yesterday, we had distributed 3,357 masks to essential workers in 31 different organizations. And there's a picture of our own Gene Richards, the aviation director, who's been one of the leaders on this project, dropping off masks at UVMC, which is one of the partners that UVMC, of course, they're medical workers, they're healthcare workers, where the N95 masks, these respiratory quality masks that are necessary for medical work. These are not performing at that level, and non-medical staff at the hospital they're also essential workers needed assistance, and we were happy to be able to provide UVMC some of the masks. We got Brian Lowe here with us, our Chief Innovation Officer, who also heads up that analytics team I was mentioning before, and has played a key role in identifying this strategy and helping us create the partnerships and take the steps necessary to move it. We're starting to shift into the next phase of this initiative. We want to have Brian back to report out. Brian, thanks for zooming in today.
Hey, Mayor, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me on. So it's definitely going well. I mean, it's a major community effort. Thank you for your support. Thank you to Gene Richards, obviously, and Joan Shannon, a city councilor, who's been instrumental in helping getting this going. And a couple just businesses in the community have really stepped forward. Vermont Teddy, Gadgets, Quilter's Garden down in Montpelier, Rags and Riches. They've been helping us source this material, cut it, and distribute it through Lyric Theater and Milton Artist Guild out to dozens and dozens of community sewers who are helping make this come together. I mean, it's really remarkable and a great effort to date. I think if you have a need, if you're an essential business in Burlington, we want to hear from you. We think we've met all the demand that we've heard about. We have a couple folks we weren't able to get in touch with that we've been following back up with, who've made requests, but that's very few. And we know there's more need out there, and we want to make sure we meet it. And as the mayor said, we're also looking at a next phase of this. Mayor, I don't know if you want to introduce that point or if you want me to speak to that point.
Well, I'm happy to speak to it, and it is a topic that I spoke to in the state of the city. Because of the principles that I mentioned at the top, that and because of the principles that now the CDC and the state are being quite vocal about, really everyone who goes out in public is now recommended to have a mask. And what we are hoping to do here in Burlington is to provide these high quality masks to really essentially every resident of Burlington by the time the stay home order lifts on May 15th. That gives us, a month to get this done, and it's an ambitious goal. Brian, what are your thoughts on what it's going to take to get that done?
Well, it's definitely an ambitious goal. I think it's a good goal and the right goal. I mean, some of the things you're saying there, Mayor, about this is an intervention that we as a community can take on that doesn't have negative economic consequences. It helps reduce the probability of transmission within our community without, for example, shutdowns. It's an important measure that we can use over the long haul if we do have widespread mask use in our community, or masks available to those that want them. And our goal is to establish a plan for distribution across the community to try and meet that need for those who want these masks prior to, as the mayor said, May 15th. And so we've got a major production effort underway to try and scale up to meet that need. We're producing hundreds of masks a day now, and we want to make sure we get those to Burlingtonians in a way that is both safe and expeditious. So, Mayor, you've got a report coming from me about exactly how we're proposing to do that. I'm happy to share details now if you'd like.
Well, we got a few other topics to get to. Why don't we? I'm looking forward to reading the report, and we'll come back and share further thoughts with the community soon. The goal, I think people understand the goal. We'll be working out the details on how we get these masks out to people who need them very soon. Why don't we just talk a little bit more, Brian, though, about just the idea here. I mean, this is we've never had this in America before, right? I think for years we have looked at Asian countries, and you've seen the masks are more of a part of everyday life, or have been for some time. This is a new thing in America, so I think it's worth kind of reviewing what's going on here a little bit more, and putting and setting the context right. We are anticipating, as we've talked many times in these briefings, we are anticipating that when the stay-home order is lifted, that does not mean the threat from the virus will be gone. This virus, until we have immunity, until we have a vaccine, this virus is going to represent a really significant health threat in the community. And we are going to need these non-medicinal, non-pharmaceutical interventions to slow the transmission of the virus and make sure we don't immediately see new spikes in infections when we come out of this stay-home posture. And that's the context we should all have in our minds here, is that we have this long battle likely ahead. Maybe we'll get lucky. Maybe something will happen where it's not as long of a struggle as we're starting to prepare for and plan for. But if it is, masks will be a key part in really slowing down the spread of the virus if everybody or nearly everybody wears them and uses them. So this is something, it takes some getting used to. It's definitely a new experience. If you haven't had one of these on, it's a little stuffy in there. But I've gotten used to it over the last couple of weeks, Brian, and it's becoming more normal. And again, it is something that we have seen in other parts of the world. The countries in Asia that are doing best in living with coronavirus right now, masking is a big part, is one of their strategies. So I really think this is something we're going to have to focus on. You want to add anything to that, Brian?
Well, I think that's right, Mayor. I mean, I think from my perspective, it's really a symbol of hope and commitment to your community. It's something that you do to protect your neighbors and your friends and your family. When you're out in a crowded space or in a space where there's other folks around, wearing that mask to reduce the probability that you could transmit unknowingly this virus to somebody else. I think the other thing that it's doing is it's really about human nature. If mask use is rare or stigmatized, then those who are sick are less likely to wear one. And if people are generally wearing them, those who are sick are certain to wear them, or more likely to wear them. And I think that's really why you see these better outcomes in some of these communities or some of these other countries.
Excellent. Well said, Brian. What I heard was well said. You cut out there for a moment at the end, but I think thank you for, why don't you stick around? We're going to hit 3 other updates or announcements, and then if there are more questions about the mask initiative, we'll come back to you. So thank you, Brian. Let's speak a little bit more about unemployment insurance. I talked about this some yesterday, and I know that this is really the critical issue on the minds of the many, many Burlingtonians who have lost their jobs in recent weeks, suddenly, without warning, without expectation. And this unemployment insurance program is supposed to be the lifeline, the way that people who have had this misfortune, who have encountered directly the first wave of the kind of economic fallout of the COVID-19 virus. This is a huge part of the government's response. We know that the system today is not working as smoothly as it needs to. There are real challenges with people getting the help that they need. This was acknowledged yesterday by the governor. I guess what I wanted to come back and speak again to this and tell Burlingtonians that the city is continuing to engage this issue directly, as we have been really throughout April. I talked to Commissioner Harrington, the Department of Labor Commissioner, earlier today, and really wanted him to know that is here to help in any way we can. We also are working to have a partnership with the Department of Labor so that Burlingtonians who call the RRC and have questions, that we have a good channel into the Department of Labor so we can get answers back for people from the city if people are not able to get those answers directly from the state. I guess what I wanted to, what's clear here is that the administration that Commissioner Harrington is having to deal with the fact that the system that they are using to get money out to Vermonters is a very old system, and it is a system that was not designed for the current use, and that it is hard to redesign given its age and the sort of mainframe, just the technology that it was built on. One of the things I said to the commissioner is if they do try to go in a different direction, if they do a tech surge, as some people have started to call it, which is something that the New York State did. City of Burlington will help galvanize and secure local tech talent to work on this, if that can be of assistance to the state. It's pretty clear to me that we need some help from the federal government on this as well. One of the complicating drivers here right now is the way the system is set up. Vermonters need to file every week to get their benefits, and that has just completely overwhelmed the system. That is a federal requirement right now, but given the circumstances, I think it's right to be asking whether there could be some, at least temporary, relaxation of that requirement so that we can make this system work the way it's supposed to and get help out to people now, not weeks and weeks or months from now. So I'm going to stay engaged in that issue about the federal rules, and we're looking at what we can do to help the state there. Our thoughts are with, I want to say it is clear to me that Commissioner Harrington and his team are working very hard on this. They're calling in all sorts of additional resources, and we wish them great support in their efforts to get through this. And the city continues to stand ready, engaged, and wanting to help in any way we can. Let me now speak about a new relief fund. We've talked on this briefing several times about different forms of assistance that have come forth from the community. The United Fund is something we've talked about a few times here, something being headed up by the United Way. The city helped raise some private fundraising dollars for that. That money is going into feeding Chittenden and other really urgent relief efforts. Today, I want to announce a new Burlington City Artist Relief Fund. So this fund will provide grants for up to $500 for individual Burlington-based artists who lost as a result of the virus, of COVID-19. The grants will be awarded on a rolling basis. And importantly, this is something that really the Burlington City Arts Foundation, the board members have come together and helped raise private dollars for. All of these funds are coming from the Burlington City Arts Foundation, which is this related nonprofit that is such a great partner to the city and the city arts department. We have with us on the Zoom Doreen Kraft, our Director of Burlington City Arts, and thank you for being with us today, Doreen. What else can you say about this great new relief fund?
Well, first of all, Mayor, thank you so much for shining a light on this urgent need in our community. It's really tremendously a pride for us to be a part of this city now. We've done so much as a community to look at those who have been hurt in this unprecedented time. And artists are so critical to the fabric of our community, to being part of the economic environment, as well as providing us the joy and opportunity to experience so much of what our community has come to love. And they have been tremendously hurt by this pandemic, just as many other small businesses have. And so we have set up this fund. As you said, Mayor, there's up to $500 for every artist who works in Burlington, lives in Burlington, teaches art either from their studio or in a public studio. And we're going to do everything that we can to raise every dollar so that this fund can reach as many artists as possible. So we've been concentrated on getting this fund together, up and rolling, and getting it out. We launched yesterday, and today we're turning some of our attention to raising additional funds for this. And I want every Vermonter to understand that whether it's $5 or $10 that you contribute to this fund, it is going directly to support artists. And I know you have that tremendous appreciation for what artists do for our community, but I think we're going to understand this even more as we restart our economy and are dependent on artists to be a big part of that. So your $5 and $10 will be significant in this fund drive, and I thank you, because Burlington and Vermonters are the most generous people in the world. It is always amazing to me how this community comes together when we say that there's a need.
Doreen, really well said. Thank you for your leadership on this. Thank you for your commitment to the arts community for decades here in Burlington. It would not be the arts community it is without you and without Burlington City Arts. And really, this is a really powerful example of what Burlington City Arts has long desired to be and has been. It's just very poignant that this collaboration between people who love the arts and the community and the city come together in this way. And thank you for making it possible for everyone to chip in, everyone who values the arts here in Burlington to chip in this way. I really do have this sense, we are in the middle of this great storm. You don't always, you have to remind yourself that when you look out the window and you see the day like today, a beautiful Vermont spring day in many ways. But we are shuttered in our homes. We are in this kind of defensive posture, trying to battle this virus and knock it down to levels that we can resume activity. And we're going to come out. A brighter day is definitely coming, and there's a lot of reason to think it's coming sooner in some ways than we feared it might. The governor set this May 15th goal for the lifting of the stay-home order. The governor's health commissioner yesterday said he thinks this virus is peaking this week. The numbers in recent days have definitely been encouraging, both here at the University of Vermont Medical Center. We are getting this virus under control. We are getting closer to the day where we're going to start coming out of our homes again. And when we do, we want those institutions that have made Burlington so great, those elements of life that have made Burlington so great, will be there. We want the tertiary marketplace to be there. We want this incredible restaurant and food community that has become such a remarkable and unusual and wholesome part of life here in Burlington to still be there. And we want our incredible, talented artists who, in so many ways, like you say, Doreen, enrich life, day-to-day life here, and remind us of what's important and what's precious and needs to be focused on. And all those things and more are at risk. So many people and important elements of Burlington life have been hit hard. Those of us who have not had the direct hit yet and are in position to give, this is a great additional opportunity to help ensure that the community you love is still there when we get to the other side of this thing. And thank you, Doreen, again for
thank you, Mayor.
Okay, let's close on. Well, I guess I've got two more things to say. One, just we don't have a slide for it yet, but I did just want to update people because I have talked about this numerous times. The PPP program, this Federal Payment Protection Program, as we have been signaling was likely to happen in recent days. The word national reporting today is that program, all $340 billion of that program has been committed around the country. So we're still trying. This is something we anticipated, and we have been urging people to move quickly because of it. I would say, from my perspective, and this is, again, this crisis is making us all sort of act and move in real time. This is an emergency. We don't always have time to sort of sit back and get everything carefully sorted out. My recommendation, given my sense of this, if you think this program could be valuable to your organization, remember this is for businesses as well as nonprofits. This is really for anyone who has payroll. If you think this could potentially be valuable to you and you didn't quite get the work done yet, don't stop. Get your paperwork ready, get yourself organized. There is a very good chance that this program will be reopened in the weeks ahead. There is a major effort to put billions of additional dollars into this. It may well, I would expect, there's every reason to think it will still be structured as this first come, first serve program. And if it does, we want all Burlington businesses to be ready. If you need help getting ready, if you don't know what that means, if you don't know what that looks like, if you need support in some way, getting your application together, getting your paperwork ready, be in touch with the Resource and Recovery Center. We have essentially trained up people there to really understand this program and be able to tell you what you need to do. Final update of the day is our Fun at Home resource of the day. This one comes from our Parks, Recreation, and Waterfront Department, which has launched virtual recreation videos. And the recreation here is defined really broadly. It includes everything from ukulele lessons to chess and tips for exploring Burlington and more. The highlight today that we wanted to I think we might even be able to, are we gonna be able to play a clip of this? Is this interactive, Olivia, or
The slide isn't set up that way, but we could play a clip if you wanted to do that.
Well, let's see if you can pull it up while we're talking here. This
Great.
is from our own Gary Rogers, who's a recreation superintendent and really one of the great spirits within the city of Burlington. Guy who's always got a smile on his face. He has this play ball in the house with Coach Gary series, and you can see one of them. We had an image from one of them a moment ago. Maybe Olivia's gonna be able to bring it up, and you can. And there's again, this is a series, so you can find the whole series on the Department of Parks, Recreation, and Waterfront Facebook page, and you can go to Facebook and look those up. But it looks like we may be able to get an example going here. Go ahead, Olivia.
I don't know if you'll be able to hear the sound from this, but let's try it.
Let's try it. Let's see what happens.
Did that work?
It did not. It did not. All right. Well, we're still a little technologically challenged on this here, but we're you got the idea. Anyone who has kids who like to play ball, I guarantee you they're going to enjoy words. So with that, this fun at home resource of the day is the idea here. This is something we're going to try to do every day. Doreen, who's here on the screen with me now, and her Burlington City Arts team, that their energies into making more and more of the city resources that would normally be available in grounds to Burlington public and really to anybody online. Tomorrow with another installment of that. With that, like I said, we're unusually full house here in the gallery today. I'm happy to take questions here. Orders online as well. So.
I just wanted to clarify with the mask. Essential workers in Burlington gotten masks and or
that's essentially what we're announcing today. Is yes, all essential workers, at least all essential workers who have reached out to the city and said, we want masks. We need masks for our essential workers. All of those organizations, we've been in touch with them. It's reached out for that kind of help. Dropped off masks as of the end of the day yesterday. It was again over 3,300 masks that have been delivered to essential businesses and organizations here in Burlington. If there are more essential workers out there that have not, that still need help, the offer is still open. People should continue to get in touch with us. And I think Brian was indicating there was a handful of small requests that we're still working to get fully addressed. But for all intents and purposes, this first wave of essential workers has now been masked, and we are starting to turn our attention towards this broader goal of having high quality masks for every Burlingtonian who would like one by the time the stay home order is lifted.
And how many masks would that be? Are you thinking?
Well, that's something that we're still nailing down exactly how to articulate that goal. I mean, listen, we know we have 43,000 residents of Burlington. Many thousands of those residents are not currently here, and it's actually kind of a point that hasn't maybe gotten enough attention during this crisis. One of the things that I think UVM and Champlain College deserve credit, as well as I believe St. Michael's made the same decision to tell their students who lived out of state before the end of spring break that classes were going to be offered remotely, that they did not need to come back. And so we know thousands of students that would normally be living here in Burlington are in their home states. And that's probably one of those decisions were probably some of the most significant decisions in containing the virus as well as we have here in Burlington over the last month. I think there's every reason to think if thousands of students had been coming back from around the country and around the world, we would have had more vectors of the virus coming here into the community. So that impacts the numbers. Some individuals already have masks because they are essential workers or because they're healthcare workers and they have access to different masks that way. So we haven't set a numerical goal quite yet. That is something we will be honing in on shortly. It's certainly tens of thousands of masks. We do have the ability with the initial order of the denim material. The estimate was that we could generate about 20,000 of these masks, and I think we're still doing everything we can to work towards that number. You want to add anything to that, Brian?
No, I mean, I think that's right. I think there's also a question of how many residents will want one, which is an open question and hard to know up front.
So returning our attention there. We'll be back next week. We'll say more about the community mission initiative then. Sorry, Brian, something else?
Maybe just one last addition there. Like, we've met, with the exception of a couple people that we've been trying to track down, the demand that we've heard from essential workers in Burlington. We've done outreach ourselves to nursing homes and to grocery stores and to other locations as well. But if you are an essential worker in Burlington and you need a mask, we would definitely love to know that as well. It's obviously a dynamic situation, so we get requests in at unpredictable times.
Great. You cut out there for a second here in the conference room, Brian, but I think the point was, and let me reiterate again, if there are essential workers in Burlington that want a mask and haven't gotten one yet, we want to hear from you. Get in touch with the Resource Recovery Center and we'll get you one as quickly as possible. We expect there probably are, we know there probably are some people out there that still need some help, and we'd like to help.
Could you elaborate on the artist grant?
Yeah, so well, first I'll just summarize the way this program is going to work. This is a grant, a relief fund, an artist relief fund that has been organized by the Burlington City Arts Foundation, which is this nonprofit tax charitable foundation that kind of exists side by side with Burlington City Arts, the city department. And the foundation has raised philanthropic dollars to award $500 grants to Burlington artists on a rolling basis. So if you are an artist that has been impacted by this disaster, by this emergency, go to the Burlington City Arts website, and you'll be able to find further information there on how to apply. And this will be awards that are made on a rolling basis as soon as the applications start coming in. Did I get that basically right, Dorian, or you want to add anything to that?
Whoops, you did, Mayor. That's correct. And you can also go to the city's resource and recovery page, and it's right up there in the banner today, and it'll take you directly to the application.
Is there a fundraising goal for that?
$1 million.
Great. And how many artists are you hoping?
Wait, Dorian, is that
No.
that in jest or?
No,
or...
I'm look, as much money as we can raise, we can give out to artists. There is a similar effort in the state. They absolutely had to shut it down after the first week because they got so many requests, they couldn't meet them. I know that is going to be true in Burlington. We will not meet every artist's need. So as much money as we can raise, we can give to those in need. So I say give often, give generously. And there isn't a goal. It's just as much as we can raise. We have about 35,000 right now. We opened up yesterday. I think people gave in the order of, maybe we raised 3,000 overnight. And I believe with this press conference today and through tomorrow, we'll double that. So we're just going to keep it going. And as I said, it's on a rolling basis. So yeah, keep giving. Thank you.
Great.
Fantastic. And how many artists so far have identified a need for assistance? Do you have any numbers regarding amount of artists, something like that?
Well, I can tell you from the day that we began to shelter at home, we started getting urgent calls from artists who lost employment. There are hundreds, many thousands, and we are talking the entire creative sector. This includes lighting designers and theater artists and people who support the creative industry. And so we have received dozens of calls, and then in the last 24 hours, we've received over 3 dozen applications.
Thank you.
That raises a good point, Doreen. Is there a definition of would all of the people that you just listed there qualify for this, or how is artist being defined in terms of these grants? Or is that something that will depend on how many applications you get?
Unmute, gotta always unmute. The definition is in the application, but it's all disciplines. That includes theater artists and musicians, teachers who teach classes in the many different settings, Burlington City Arts and others. It's people who would have been teaching art, but there's a school closure. It's professional workers who work in the theater world, lighting designers, technicians who do mixing for theatrical productions. It includes everyone. It's the entire creative sector.
Olivia, are there more questions online?
No questions from the media on my end today.
Nope. Okay. Anything else in the room, or are you guys all set? Okay. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Stay safe. We'll be back for our Friday briefing tomorrow, going into the weekend, and look forward to seeing everybody. Thank you.